Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Sunday afternoon. Actually, I'm wrong. It's 1:45, so it's still morning. How about that? Well, it's pretty gray outside, so it's hard to tell what time it is. It's just gray. I don't complain about that at all. I really enjoy a nice, mellow, gray day. I mean, we got up earlier today than we do most of the time. The dog had to go out early and all that stuff. But anyways, it's just been a real lazy day. But there's a reason for that. We were up very early yesterday. We got up at 6 because we had to take the dog to our friend's house for them to watch our little Boston Terrier while we went up to Bakersfield with some good friends of ours. And we planned this little trip to go up there because sadly one of our favorite antique malls is closing in November. And this antique store is on the main floor of a historic building. The building was originally a Woolworth's, and for those who remember Woolworth's, they were still kind of a strong company up until the 1980s into the 1990s, the early 90s. I remember there was a Woolworth over in East Pasadena on Foothill Boulevard. I went in there a couple times, and I remember it. But the one in Bakersfield here is, it was built in the late 30s or maybe even the late 40s. From my understanding, I think it was built in 1949. It has a very strong, streamlined, modern aesthetic to it. And the couple that bought the building, it was right after the building was closed when the store went under in 1993 or 94, I want to say. And so this couple bought it and they opened an antique store in it. And from my understanding, I could be wrong on this, but I think the wife actually did work for Woolworth up until the time they closed. But so the 5 and dime or 5 and 10 antique mall operated all the way since the 1990s up until this year now, and they're still open until the 6th of November. So if you are into antiques and you want to eat at a historic Woolworth lunch counter, definitely go up before the 6th of November. I will warn you, a lot of the booths have been already vacant. A lot of the antique dealers have already pulled up stakes and moved across the street to another antique mall or further down the street to a few other antique stores. So the antiquing is going to be slim pickings at best, but there are some decent discounts. So definitely go and take a look, or at least get lunch at the lunch counter. And, the food is actually decent. The burgers are pretty good. They're very good quality. I was very impressed. I've eaten there several times, but I don't think I had a burger for a long time. So I kind of forgot, but they have good cuisine. It's diner style, it's nothing overly fancy. They have sandwiches, typical sandwiches, and also pastrami, which I think I should have ordered that. It looked really good. But the burgers are good, and the shakes are amazing. You get a nice shake, and of course they give you the stainless tumbler with half of the shake still in there, so you have plenty to go off of. But, it was really nice. It was a nice occasion, so we dressed up in our period clothing and went up there with some good friends of ours. And it's been kind of a place that we usually hit between here in Los Angeles all the way up to the Bay Area, because we'll just have a little pit stop there and get some lunch and hit the antique store, and then we'll go back up to the Bay Area, continue up there for certain events and whatnot, see friends. But yeah, sorry, I got a little bit of post-nasal going on. Anyways, so it's an end of an era. It really is, and it's sad to see it close. It's sad to see the building in kind of a precarious position, because the company that bought the building is a development company, and most of you historically minded people know that development companies have very little regard to historic structures. City of Los Angeles, for one instance, it's kind of a hit or miss. Some buildings survive and some are demolished for newer buildings, which is understandable. That's progress, but it's sad to see something iconic and classic go away for something that's, well, in our minds, less iconic and classic. But there's nothing sacred in this life. It really isn't. But I hope for this case, this Woolworth is the last standing Woolworth building in California, to my knowledge, that has an operational lunch counter. So that lunch counter is definitely historic. I know the city of Bakersfield understands this as well. They're very protective of it. So I think everybody in town does not want to see that go away. So it has a lot of support, which is very important for that to continue. So I have some positive feelings about that remaining. But we shall see. The future is unwritten, so we will have to just wait it out and find out. Anyways, we're burning the old Dietz regular just for company's sake out here. I have a nice globe that I recently acquired. It's a Dietz Fit All. It's the earlier Fit All style globe with the hot blast style. So I had to have it. I got it for a pretty fair price, actually. And they're not as common as the clear example. So yeah, and it's a red flash globe, so it's not high risk of any glass cancer or whatever. So it's a clear globe that's been coated with red inside, but it's in good shape, and so I think it fits really nice in the regular. So let's see, did I find anything up in Bakersfield? Of course I did, naturally. I found a few little things, nothing too crazy. I found some rusty things, and one of them is something I've been kind of wanting. I wanted a barrel, and I don't know why, but I think old barrels are really neat. I don't really have any room for a full-size barrel, but I found one that's small, and it's definitely very similar to ones that are found in abandoned mines and used as something that would hold drill bits or tools or even waste. But yeah, this one's actually pretty decent shape, and it's very old, but I think it's pretty neat. And I thought it was going to fit between the refrigerator and the workbench, and I was like, that will fit just great, because it seemed like the same proportions as my 5-gallon gas can that I have my kerosene in. Nope, it's wider. So it doesn't fit where I want it to go. So now I'm thinking of, okay, now where do I put this thing? I will figure it out, of course, as I often do. So let's see, what else did I get? Oh yes, well, the same booth had a lantern. There was actually several lanterns in this one antique store down the road from the Woolworths, and there was some that were nice or more or less common. The prices were kind of hit or miss. I saw a what was it? I think it was a Defiance, a squat globe Defiance, and they had, it had a bashed in air tube and a lot of rust, and they had $95 on it. And I said, that's cute. That's nice. It shall stay. But I did find some Dietz Blizzards. One was pretty rusted. It could have been fine. It probably was mostly surface, but they wanted $45 for it, and I thought, well, that's a little steep for a regular 20s 30s Blizzard. And then there was another one that was in really good shape, really original shape, but they wanted $79. So I'm like, $80 for a Blizzard. It's a more or less common lantern, but I'm like, yeah, I think we're good. But I did find this, and I had to get it because, well, the price was right, but it's also a little more obscure, a lot more obscure than the Blizzards. It is a Dietz Junior. Now this one, of course, most of us will say, well, Dietz Juniors are not rare. They're very common. Well, however, that might be true, but this is a 1920s version, I believe. It is for the export models. It has the Sanskrit on it. Now the Sanskrit was on these early Juniors because they were for the export market to India. Now, India was a big-time buyer of these lanterns, especially at that time, because, well, they could be shipped cheap, and they were a medium size. They weren't a number 2 size, so they could be packed into nice crates and shipped down there, and they used them a lot. Actually, there's still many parts of India that still use oil-burning lanterns to this day, and a lot of corners of the third world still use oil lanterns. So, I think that's another reason why Dietz moved to Asia and to Hong Kong in the 50s, is because their big time customers were definitely in Asia and also in other parts of the third world. So that's interesting to know. But this one is definitely probably between the wars. I'd say 1920s, 1930s. I haven't taken any rust off at all yet. I just got it. So I'm going to take some time and see if I can see any of the patent dates stamped on the air tube. But it's the fuel cap is loose. The burner will come off without too much struggle. And you're just like, well, why did you buy something so rusty? It looks like it's totally done. Like, no, it's actually very straight. It's very solid. It's just light surface rust. And the bottom is actually very clean. If the bottom was roached out, I'd be like, yeah, you're staying. But it's not. It's actually in pretty good shape. So I'm going to tear into this and see what we're dealing with. Thankfully, the globes for these little juniors are very easy to get. They're not hard to find. I'll probably find one with the step in it, hopefully, and that would be cool. But yeah, it's nice to have a nice Dietz Junior 1920s version, I believe. The cap is unmarked, so it's a plain basic cap, so I would imagine that it is 20s era. And it has the nice little vent slots on top there, so it's absolutely probably late teens, early 20s. So that's a fun piece. I think I'm going to enjoy cleaning up that little guy. Well, friends, thanks so much for tuning in once again. I'm going to get to my projects here, but I will have an update on the other two projects, which would be the Top Lift Defiance and the Santa Fe Railroad Ad Lake Bell Bottom. And they're still curing. I had put tank sealer in them, and they will be featured in the next video, more or less. All right, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys again very soon. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.